Thank you. So, distinguished representatives of the local and regional authorities, officials and representatives of the community of Laggadja and Dimitsana, members of the board of the Blossoming Stones, emeritus professors, representatives of the Greek Ministry of Culture, representatives of the Pan-Arcadian Federation of America, distinguished representatives of Utah Valley University, Your Honor Director of the UVU UNESCO Chair, Master Stone Masons, dear students, community members, colleagues, and friends. It is a great honor to welcome you here in Laggadja to this English language session of the Blossoming Stones workshop, organized by Blossoming Stones and Utah Valley University. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to the board of Blossoming Stones for organizing this important workshop and for bringing together public officials, scholars, craftspeople, students, institutional representatives, and members of Arcadian communities around the shared responsibility of preserving the architectural and cultural heritage of this region. I'm especially grateful for the presence of the representatives of the Pan-Arcadian Federation of America. Their presence reminds us that the history of Arcadian monuments cannot be understood solely within the geographical boundaries of the Peloponnese. It must also be examined through the communities, institutions, and diaspora networks that connected Arcadia with the United States and with the wider world. We extend our sincere gratitude also to Dr. Susan Collette of the Hanson Mohawk Industrial Gateway in New York, and that I will very soon explain why. She examined and shared the Menili Bell Company archival records that form an essential part of this research that we're about to present to you. It is particularly meaningful to present this research in Laggadja, a place inseparably associated with the knowledge, mobility, and architectural achievements of stonemasons from Laggadja. The history of the clock tower of Agia Kyriaki in Dimitsana belongs to this broader regional culture of stone construction, craftsmanship, and technical knowledge. Our research, therefore, approaches the tower at three interconnected scales. The first is the monument itself, its materials, its architectural form, construction techniques, structural condition, and historical development. The second is the network of people and institutions that contributed to its creation. Local masons, community leaders, Greek American benefactors, and diaspora organizations, manufacturers, and the community of Dimitsana. The third is the knowledge embodied in the building, the movement of craftsmanship, engineering, architectural ideas, and industrial technology across regions and national borders. This project also has an important educational dimension. Through the collaboration of Blossoming Stones, Utah Valley University, and the UVU UNESCO Chair, our students, our colleagues of Digital Media Department at Utah Valley University, and the community of Dimitsana, the tower becomes an object of scholarly investigation and an active classroom. It allows our students to understand that architectural heritage is not preserved only through measured drawings, digital documentation, structural analysis, or physical restoration. It is also preserved by reconstructing the human relationships, cultural values, and the historical circumstances that produced the monument. Today, we will present what we currently know about the clock tower of Dimitsana, the evidence we have identified in Greece and the United States through our research, the questions that remain under research, and the next steps that are required for its documentation, monitoring, conservation, and long-term protection. Above all, we hope to demonstrate that the clock tower of Dimitsana is not an isolated structure. It is the material record of a very interesting concept, under-examined so far, and that is the fact that the relationship between Arcadia and the United States was one of reciprocal exchange rather than one-way influence. So far, research has focused primarily on the migration of Arcadians to America. Our findings broaden this narrative by showing that knowledge, technology, and craftsmanship moved in both directions. American industrial products and engineering technologies, including the Menili bell and the E. Howard clock mechanism, were transferred to Arcadia and incorporated into the Dimitsana Clock Tower. At the same time, Arcadian master stonemasons, mainly from Laghadia, carried centuries of construction knowledge and stone building craftsmanship to the United States, where they contributed to the architecture and infrastructure of buildings in their respective communities in cities such as Lowell and Boston, Massachusetts, Chicago, Illinois, and elsewhere. Architecture preserves more than buildings. It preserves evidence of all the cultural relationships, technologies, and ideas that shape the built environment. Historic monuments, therefore, constitute primary historical sources through which a network of architectural and engineering knowledge and craftsmanship can be reconstructed. In this project, we integrate documentary research, architectural documentation, material investigation, and community knowledge to understand how this monument is constructed, but also to bring to light how architectural ideas, technologies, and stone craftsmanship crossed geographic and cultural boundaries. The research began in 2023 as a survey study of the historic clock tower of Dimitsana, and as the evidence emerged, it quickly transformed as a case study in transatlantic exchange between the United States and Greece during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The project originated from a formal invitation addressed to Utah Valley University by the Congress and Cultural Center of Dimitsana. In this invitation, the Congress and Cultural Center requested our participation in documenting, conserving, restoring, and promoting one of the community's most significant civic monuments. This invitation establishes this project as a genuine example of community-engaged scholarship, in which research questions emerge directly from an identified public need rather than solely from academic inquiry, which aligns with the mission of both Utah Valley University and the Blossoming Stones Association. The two institutions collaborate under a Memorandum of Understanding signed in 2025. We hope that this research will produce the first comprehensive architectural and technical documentation of the Dimitsana Clock Tower through archival investigation in the United States and Greece, measured hard drawings, architectural recording, historical analysis, digital documentation, and comparative research. The project will reconstruct the monument's conception, patronage, design, manufacture, shipment, construction, and subsequent history. The resulting documentation will provide the scholarly foundation required for future conservation planning while contributing new knowledge to the history of architecture, industrial heritage, migration, and transatlantic cultural exchange. Officially designated as a protected historic monument by the Hellenic Ministry of Culture, the tower occupies a prominent place within the architectural, historical, and cultural identity of the mountain community of Dimitsana. Although widely recognized as one of the town's defining landmarks, many aspects of its history remain undocumented. The origin of its architectural drawings and identity of its architect, the organization of its construction, and the relationships among American manufacturers, Greek immigrant organizations, local patrons, and master craftsmen have never been systematically investigated. The need for this research has become increasingly urgent. During the 20th century, the monument sustained damage from a lightning strike, after which portions of the structure were reconstructed using reinforced concrete rather than traditional masonry. While these interventions addressed immediate structural concerns, they also altered the monument's historic fabric and underscore the importance of establishing a complete historical and architectural record because future conservation decisions are made. International conservation doctrines recognize comprehensive documentation as an essential prerequisite for responsible intervention. The present project responds directly to this requirement by producing the historical and architectural documentation necessary to support future conservation planning. The urgency of the investigation is further reinforced by recent archival discoveries in the United States.
Historic monuments derive their significance not only from their physical fabric, but also from the historical processes they embody. Many monuments, however, remain only partially understood because the documentary and material evidence necessary to reconstruct their histories has never been assembled. Architectural drawings disappear, business correspondence is dispersed among archives, manufacturing records remain uncatalogued, community memory gradually fades as generations pass. The Dimitsana Clock Tower represents precisely such a case. For nearly a century, it has served as the principal civic landmark of one of the Peloponnese's most historically significant mountain communities. Yet, fundamental questions concerning its conception, architectural design, construction, and international connections remain unanswered. The origin of its architectural drawings has never been established. The professional relationships linking American manufacturers, Greek immigrant organizations, local patrons, and the craftsmen who erected the monument have never been systematically reconstructed. No comprehensive set of measured architectural drawings exists, and no integrated historical investigation has brought together documentary, architectural, industrial, and community evidence into a single scholarly account. Recent research undertaken by our team since 2024 has fundamentally expanded our understanding of the monument. Documentary evidence has identified the clock mechanism as the work of E. Howard and Company of Boston. Examination of the digitized Troy Manelli Company bell ledger maintained by the Hudson Mohawk Industrial Gateway identified entry number 240, recording the shipment on the 22nd of October in 1910 of a 1,196-pound bell to St. Kyriaki Church in Dimitsana. Among the 9,753 bells recorded in the Troy Ledger, only 9 were shipped to Greece, making the Dimitsana Commission an exemplary rare example of the Foundry's international work. Together with the inscription cast on the existing bell and long-standing oral testimony preserved by the local community, these discoveries strongly suggest that the original bell of the Dimitsana Clock Tower was manufactured in Troy, New York, and shipped in Greece in 1910. These findings have opened an entirely new line of investigation concerning the monument's transatlantic history and the international movement of architectural knowledge, industrial technology, and craftsmanship. While researching the digitized Troy Manelli bell ledgers at the Hudson Mohawk Industrial Gateway, we contacted the archive to ask whether additional ledgers survived. Their search identified Peter Verios, a Greek community member in New York City in 1910, who purchased the bell on behalf of the community of Greeks for $600, approximately $20,900 today. I then traced his name in the 1910 New York census, confirming his address and placing the bell within a documented Greek-American network. Recent discoveries identifying the clock mechanism manufactured by E. Howard and Company and the identification of the original Manelli bell suggest that the monument represents a rare example of American industrial technology incorporated into early 20th century civic architecture in Greece. Equally important, the project seeks to determine whether the architectural design itself may also have originated in the United States. The architectural details and the monumentality of the clock tower hint to a design done by a professional architect. Recently, we have initiated a comparative study of the Dimitsana Clock Tower and the freestanding clock towers of nearby locations constructed around 1910.
So this is a very important picture because, as you can see, you see my mouse? No, you cannot see my mouse. So I will show you. In this picture, it says Κατάθεσης θεμελίου λίθου. So this is the first stone that it was of the foundation of the clock tower of Dimitsana, and that's the picture of that day. So let's see, and we thank Mr. Lambrou for providing this picture to us. Let's see a little bit what this picture shows. Thank you. So, first of all, you see how the tradition of having libations, of having an official ceremony at the foundation. You see the priests, and you see people here that they hold a bottle of wine and a bottle of oil up there to commemorate. We also know that from documents provided that a ram was sacrificed for this occasion. You also see the stonemasons. I counted at least 22. So a team of 22 stonemasons, the younger one being a boy that holds his mandrakas, his hammer. He holds a mandrakas, and others that they hold their pick hammer. And other a lever there, and other equipment among, I guess, officials of the local government of Dimitsana, that they are dressed in costumes. And to our question, was this clock tower designed by an architect, maybe stationed in the United States because of the style of the architecture of the tower? It's here in this piece of panel that they hold. You will see these are the drawings of the tower. They do not show very well here, but close inspection of this picture shows carefully drafted elevations of this clock tower. And we believe that only a colleague, an architect, could have produced carefully drafted drawings there. Furthermore, when we started our the documentation started surveying the tower. We used this meter, and this is a very good quality metallic meter, and it has both on the upper part, it has inches and feet. On the lower part, it has meters and centimeters. As a Greek architect, I started measuring in meters and centimeters. Very soon, I realized that the general dimensions of the tower were exact in inches, precise in inches and feet. And that gave me the same happened when let me show you. When I climbed up here, up there, you see, up there, in order to measure the height of the cornice of this beautiful entrance, which is exactly 60 inches wide. Okay, so 5 feet wide. And the height of the cornice from the first step is exactly 12 feet. So it everything fall within the precision in feet and inches, but not with precision in meters and centimeters. That gives us a hint that maybe the drawings were prepared in the United States of America. We now, since a few days now, we know that it's not the Bell company, the Menili company, that collaborated with some architect, and we strongly believe it's the clock company. So they belong to the same person, but the two sons, they just split at some point. One kept the Bell company, the other one across the river, the Hudson River, kept the clock company. The shipment, as Ms. Ford explained, was the same, so they shipped both the bell and the clock in one shipment, and the payment was done by Mr. Peter Verios. So please, the community of Laggadia and Dimitsana, if you can help us to reconstruct the narrative and the story of Mr. Peter Verios, who on behalf of the community of the expatriates of the Arcadians in New York paid the $600, which is equivalent, as Ms. Ford explained, to approximately 22,000 euros or 22,000 today for a very heavy bell, 1,900 something pounds, monumental in scale. All the other, the invoice that we saw from their archives, all the other bells that they shipped, they were not as large and not as expensive. Let's say we saw bells that they cost at that period of time in 1910, $150. Okay, it's not to be compared with the $600. And everything, the research that we initiated in the nearby locations of Dimitsana now, we are convinced that this clock tower has monumental dimensions. It cannot be compared with anything else that we've seen around in other cities. So, and also the blocks, the pieces of stones of the exterior, because the stones, they are double. The walls, they are double. They have an exterior and an interior facade. So the exterior stones, they are significantly large pieces and very nicely dressed. So an excellent work, but nevertheless of a monumental significance for a very important monument. So This research is founded upon the principle that historic monuments constitute primary historical documents. Every stone, every mechanical component, alteration, archival record, and oral testimony represents a source of information contributing to the reconstruction of the monument's history and of the history of the society. Accordingly, the project is preparing the first complete architectural documentation of the Dimitsana Clock Tower. Documentation includes measured hand drawings like this, and I welcome you to come and see them when we finish with all the presentations. Plans, elevations, sections, architectural details, photographic recording, and digital drawings in collaboration with Professor Michael Harper and Emily Hendrick from the Digital Media Department of Utah Valley University. Existing drone imagery that is produced by Utah Valley University. And during their investigations in 2024, 2025, and continued in 2026. Measured drawing occupies a central position within this methodology. Although contemporary digital technologies provide increasingly sophisticated recording techniques, measured hand drawing remains one of the most effective methods for understanding historic architecture. If we didn't measure in that way, we wouldn't be able to identify that this tower is mainly measured in feet, while each piece of stone is measured in centimeters. So it seems right now, at least at this point in our research, that somebody had a tape measure coming from the United States in feet, and all the rest of the stonemasons, the master stonemasons and their apprentices, they had their own Greek tape measures, and they were measuring their stones individually in centimeters. Because when we measure them, we find each stone in exact centimeters, but the overall dimensions exactly in feet and inches, both in the length and also the height of the tower. We believe this project offers an exceptional opportunity to document a broader and previously overlooked chapter in the history of Arcadia and the Greek-American diaspora by reconstructing the mobility of architectural knowledge and craftsmanship between Greece and the United States. Rather than focusing solely on the movement of people, we examine the reciprocal movement of architectural ideas, industrial technologies, and construction methods, craftsmanship, professional expertise, and cultural traditions across the Atlantic. So the technology and maybe the drawings, the architecture, comes from the United States of America. At the same period of time, craftsmen from Laggadia, they immigrate to the United States, to these cities, and they offer their craftsmanship and their expertise, and they form the image of the cities of the United States of America. So it's a full circle, eventually. It's not just one way or one-way relationship. It's a reciprocal relationship that is happening at the same period of time in different ways. The Dimitsana Clock Tower represents one direction of this exchange, as I explained, while the migration of Arcadian master stonemasons, mainly from Laggadia to American cities, represents the other. Together, these histories reveal a shared legacy that belongs equally to Greece and the United States. Thank you very much.